will also act as facilitators for each one of your teams to support you to win this competition, because you know this is a bootcamp held in an hackathon style, this is a competition, and well, you want to win, right? So make sure to choose the right facilitator. So I was always saying, we developed two programs, one more focused on capacity building and another one more focused on partnership development. We already concluded all our events focused on capacity building and now are doing our round of boot camps across Africa. So actually, we just came back from Uganda, Kampala, where we had a great time. I'm sure our colleagues from communication will mention this, but we were trending #1 in Twitter in Uganda. So make sure that you do the same here in Tanzania. We are very excited to be here and to hear your ideas. Then in September, we will go to also Ghana and Nigeria. So as you can see, we are doing a little bit of a tour. So, Design Thinking Bootcamp. So, what is the goal for these 3 days? What we want is to really bring all the participants together with the investors and innovation stakeholders from both continents and co-design these collaborative projects for creating and strengthening a connected digital innovation ecosystem. So you have a challenge that will be properly introduced a little bit later in the day, but we will quite focus on African-Europe matchmaking solutions. So the challenge that you will be addressed is how can Africa and Europe create a common portal in order to foster networking between the digital entrepreneurs and potential investors and partners. So, are you ready for this? Yes! Are you ready for this? Yes! Okay, much better. And of course, the output is that at the last day, when you pitch your project, your idea to this group of investors and end users, that we can come up with several ideas, prototypes that will be co-designed for projects with African and EU partners. So, good luck. This is our agenda for the 3 days. So, as you can see, our bootcamp is divided into 3 phases. First day, ideation, brainstorm on the challenge, start forming the teams, thinking about what is the solution that we are going to work on to meet this challenge. Day 2, consolidation, so you will be able to plan, to provide a better planning for the implementation of your idea with the support of the facilitators, but also you will be able to get many short talks from some experts that will give you some tips and tricks on how to market your project, so how to seek for funding, how to create the perfect pitch. So, as you know, you will have all the opportunities to learn and implement during these 3 days. Then, of course, the final day, day 3, presentation, you will be able to pitch your presentation to a group of investors, and then the top 3 teams will be able to get some prizes. This is just a wrap-up of the agenda of day 1. So, of course, we will start first with an inspirational speech and some fire chat from our guests here. Thank you so much for being here. And then we will have some moments of networking, because although this is a capacity building event and also a design thinking event, this is also an opportunity for you to network, not only among yourselves, but from people from the AfriConEU consortium that are here. So use your time wisely, as our great moderator said. And then in the afternoon, we will start actually working on a specific solution and brainstorming a little bit. But I'm sure you are all wondering, what are the prizes for the top 3 teams? Of course, so all our teams will receive certificates of achievement. Our team from the 2nd and 1st place will be featured in our AfriConEU website and newsletter as a success story for the bootcamps. And the team that gets 1st place will have the opportunity to host their idea in our AfriConEU capitalization event online that will happen in October, and that will gather all the community that we have been building so far, so all the stakeholders from the digital innovation ecosystem from Europe to Africa. It's a great opportunity for you to escalate and exploit your project. So again, are you excited? Good. Best of luck, and I pass the word to Patience.
Thank you, Anna. Now, wasn't that exciting? Yes, yes. I'm sure you've learned a thing or two already. So, I invite you now to take a few moments as patients come to stage to write a quick tweet or post of what you've learned about the bootcamp right now using the hashtag AfriConEU. Hashtag AfriConEU. Remember, our media team is watching and they're ready to retweet and repost, so go. And while you're doing that, patients, welcome to the stage. Good morning. Morning.
Director General, Tanzania Commission for Science and Technology, Mr. Jose, EU representative, thank you so much for being here. Consortium participant, thank you very much for being here. I would love to take this opportunity to invite the Director General to give a keynote speech and to officiate the bootcamp.
Good morning. Habari za asubuhi. Good morning again. Good morning. Yes, I was told there is energy. Thank you. So, I'm supposed to give a speech, but it is a boot camp. It is a working session. So I'm not giving a speech because we are all here to enjoy. As I said, you have energy. Otherwise, again, karibuni kosteki. Our guests, we should at least know karibu. Yes, good. That's nice. So you are most welcome to Tanzania for those who traveled. But you are coming from Uganda now. You are in Uganda? You are in Uganda? Yeah, so you already accustomed with the weather, so it's not very hot? No? Good, thank you. So now, welcome to Tanzania. And I trust you have planned enough time to go to Zanzibar, to go to Kilimanjaro, for those who don't want to go to Zanzibar, the adventure Kilimanjaro, or to Serengeti. Oh, to Zanzibar. I thought some of them you want adventure. Yes. Otherwise, again, welcome to COSTECH. And for our youth, karibuni sana. As it has been presented here, it's an opportunity. So you have 11 partners. So you are here, interacting with the 7 members from Europe, 4 members from Africa. It is a good opportunity for all of us to learn. And it meant that, mixing or combining the experience from Europe and that from Africa. So we see East Africa, we see West Africa. The dynamics are not the same. That's why you can see, we learn from Uganda, we learn from Nigeria. So the dynamics are not the same. And even, for example, Nigeria is kind of a bit far when we compare in the innovation space or the startup space. So we are here to learn from each other and complement our efforts. Because at the end of the day, as you see, there will be, an academy. Digital innovation hubs, they are creating, an academy for us to learn. So COSTECH, in this particular, Boone, being part of this consortia, it is a great honor because for a long time, Boone, COSTECH championed, the innovation space. There was COSTECH and the Kino back in 2011. Due to the dynamics, Boone, Kino died. We have other players. But COSTECH, being the government entity which is responsible for promotion and coordination, we saw a need for not competing with the other initiatives, the innovation hubs, but complementing. That's why we transformed that Boon Hub to be the hub of hubs, or the mother hub. So now, being part of AfriConEU, then we see how the hub of hubs is doing its real work. Today we are here being part of this network. You are ambassadors because you have the opportunity here today participating in this boot camp. There are so many people who wished to participate, but they couldn't. You get the chance. So first of all, you are representing the many people who wished to be part of this one, but also you are experiencing the first, you are the initial students of the academy, because what we are learning, contributing and learning from this consortium, we expect to continue locally in the country. So the academy, which is kind of championed by AfriConEU, will continue beyond the AfriConEU project. So we expect, after the end of this project, Boon Hub will continue to provide the academy locally, but God knows, maybe some of you could be now the mentors in that academy, the facilitators. That's what I'm saying. You are the ambassadors. You are the champions. So labda mjipongeze kwa hilo. And as they have said already, you have, the guys who are part of the consortium, and they are here to participate with, first of all, they want to share their experience, their knowledge, but as well as learning, because if you want to have a sustainable academy, then you have to combine. That's why it is kind of a blending, Europe and Africa. But not only Africa, Uganda and Tanzania and Nigeria, where the culture is different, because the culture in Nigeria is different from the culture in Tanzania or Uganda. So you see the goods from both sides, and then you put them together, glue them together, and then you have a sustainable, a new working material, a new working style. In other words, you are lucky to be the chosen one, because the next cohort which will come here, they will meet you guys and the promise and the patience, but they will not meet the guys here. So as the father was saying, you have the responsibility to ask as many questions as you want in order to cement the ideas. At the end of the day, it's a competition. It's a boot camp, it's a competition. But being here today, in a manner, everybody is a winner, first of all, because the room was not enough for everybody. You are one of the among who was chosen to be here today. So you are one of the winners already. But they want only three, they have only 3 slots. So even if you will not be, you might not be among them, but still you will walk out here, you have already learned a lot. As I said, I count on every face here to be part of this Digital Innovation Hub Academy at Boni. Since it is a working session, as I said, let me reiterate my welcoming remarks to welcome everyone to COSTECH. Kwa hiyo again, karibu sana kwa wageni wetu. And enjoy for the 3 days here at COSTECH. The weather is, as we said, is not bad. And I wish you also, when you go to Zanzibar, you will enjoy, I should say more. It depends, maybe someone working here is already enjoying, but promised me that she had already put out the nice environment here, so you can enjoy throughout the 3 days here. So karibuni sana COSTECH, Karibuni sana Tanzania, and I wish you a fruitful 3 days working session in the boot camp. Asante sana.
Thank you so much, Dr. Amos. That was an amazing, amazing welcome remarks. Thank you. We feel home. Yeah. So while we are setting up for our fireside chat, you have a few minutes to go back to social media and tell everybody that you're here and you're enjoying yourself. You better be. I'm kidding. That you're enjoying yourself and you're going to be learning so much for the next 3 days. Now, as we do that, remember to use the hashtag AfriConEU, hashtag AfriConEU. Now, to help us, those who don't have already photos, if you did not take a photo over there while you were stepping inside, we're going to be distributing a few incredible words that you can use for social media. Where are my tabs? Yeah. Who is interested? And we'll do this quickly. 1, 2, 3. 1. Yes, thank you. So you can redistribute those, take a photo with them, and post what you've learned so far. Just your key takeaways. Enjoy yourself, use your own language, just remember to use the hashtag. Thank you. Once you've taken... All right, so once you've taken your photo, please don't hurt that. Pass it along, give somebody else so they can take a photo too. Thank you. Are you done with that? No? Okay. The media team says there's a lot of photos coming in. Thank you very much. So right now, I would like to bring your attention back to our main stage. I'm going to welcome Gideon, who is going to moderate our fireside chat with Dr. Amos and Jose. Amos?
Hello. Well, good morning once again. I think we had a slogan in Uganda, right? Which would be good to also do here. So when we mention AfriConEU, then you respond what? Digital innovation. Then when I say digital innovation, you mention AfriConEU. So let's try that. AfriConEU. Digital innovation. Digital innovation. Right, so thank you so much for being here with us, and thank you, Dr. Amos, and then Jose. It's a pleasure to be with you, right, and have a conversation. So the conversation we are going to have here is around how digital innovators or innovators can also connect with partners and then investors. I understand that across Africa, in most instances, people are able to innovate, they are able to develop their product, and then when they get to the stage where they need funding to expand or move to market, then they are stuck. Is that the case here in Tanzania? Probably I will start with Dr. Amos. Is that the situation here?
No, it is a case everywhere. Hello. Yes, I mean, as you said, we have innovations, products or processes, but then you have to turn the market. So always there should be someone who find the innovators or the innovation. Yes, it is a case, and as I said in my remarks that I mean, in 2011, that's when we started the innovation ecosystem journey. I mean, now making it happening. And the process takes time, the awareness, to get it where people understand that yes, innovators, first of all, it was the government can do things, and then now not only the government, the private sector, not only they can save ready-made solutions, but innovators can come up and solve local problems, providing local solutions which take into the context of the locality. But now, who fund it? And usually, the government is very bureaucratic when it comes to procurement. Procurement have to have a proven solution with someone who has experience delivering the solution before, whatever it is. So it is a challenge, but I think we are moving slowly but sure. Now, even the government has been engaging the innovators, trying to find especially the initial ideation stage. That's why even Boon was designed specifically for that one, for the ideation. And at COSTECH, even we have the incubator. Some of the innovators can be incubated locally here. But now, being the government entity responsible for coordination and promotion, we facilitate other actors in the ecosystem. So it has been a challenge, but as I said, slowly, we are working with partners, including the EU. And I think 3 months ago, we are working also with the banks now coming in to support. So the awareness has been kind of picked up, but we are not just there. That's why we have the AfriConEU.
Right. Thank you for sharing that, and I'm happy to hear that you said that you've started the journey, right? The most important thing is to take the first step and don't stop, keep moving. Now, Jose, for Doctor, I didn't ask him to introduce himself because he already did. Can you say a bit about yourself, and then I ask you your first question?
Sure. Bari Zasubui. Good morning, everybody. My name is Jose Luis Gonzalez. I'm from the EU delegation to Tanzania and EAC. I'm a program manager there, and I'm managing 2 innovation programs, one Fungu, which you may know, and another one called D4T Tide, where we have a PESA Tech accelerator as well. But to answer your question, it's a good question, and I think it's a complex one to answer, so I hope you can bear with me a little bit. I think we have many, many fantastic solutions in the market. I think where sometimes there's stumbling blocks when it comes to actually acquiring funding or going to investors is soft skills. When I say soft skills, I mean presentation, I mean practice, understanding your product, being able to communicate your product is a challenge. And so I'm hoping that today and the next few days in this boot camp, we'll hopefully be able to have everyone in this room really be able to communicate their product, communicate their project, and have the confidence to answer any question that anyone comes to you. I think that is something that I've seen. It's improving, of course, and I think with our two programs, Funguo and D4T Tide and PESA Tech Accelerator, we're trying to tackle that. But of course, it's important that the role that COSTECH has, the role that the universities have to ensure that these soft skills can translate together with the technical skills that are already there. I see a lot of brilliant innovation, but it's just not communicated effectively or in the best way possible. And I think we have many, many great stories to tell, and I think it's just about taking advantage of this boot camp, taking advantage of the skills that you'll learn, and hopefully you can take that forward. And as Dr. Amos was saying, now the private sectors come in, you know. We have CRDB with Imbeju, we have NMB with their sandbox, and they're looking to people in this room, exactly in this room, to be able to come with solutions, onboard themselves in these platforms, and then to excel. So I'm hoping that we can have a good 3 days here.
Great. Thank you so much for that hopeful and insightful initial comment. So we are all here, we are startups, right? How many of us here have started their own businesses or are trying to start new businesses? Show by hand. How many? Okay. I can see some of them stretching very high. Others are in the middle. Right. So, I mean, that's why we are here, to help us understand how we can build very innovative businesses and be able to overcome the challenges that come along. But, Dr. Amos, the fact is that, like you said initially, one of the major challenges is the government support and enabling the environment, right, for such innovations to thrive. So what are the specific policies that the government is undertaking or other regulators are undertaking to help these innovators to be able to thrive in the Tanzanian economy?
I think to start with, 2018, the government passed the guideline, which was kind of, looking into, how to recognize and support innovations, inventions, and indigenous knowledge. Out of that, it came something known as Makisato, which is translated to, national competition for science, technology, and innovation. And now, for 7 years now, it has been a popular annual event where, innovators, they come and they showcase their products, and then they are being supported. That's the kind of starting point. But specific policy, now the government is in the process where a discussion is on about the startup policy. I think that is key to the startup ecosystem. Otherwise, we are revising our science and technology policy to have science, technology, and innovation policy. All of these they supplement each other when it comes to the innovation ecosystem. But all in all, the ecosystem, the conducive environment for the innovation to thrive has been there. The challenge is, how do we interpret it? Because the government has never, put a stop The question is how to interpret it and make it happen. COSTECH has been supporting the innovators, including, we call them walk-in innovators, those the grassroots innovators. They just walk in, I have an idea here, then we say, going to try it. COSTECH link innovators with the government stakeholders. Someone has innovation in electricity. They can't access the DG at the power company. If they come to COSTECH, then we connect them. Yeah, so we might not have written policies, but the environment is very conducive. Usually the challenge is put it, one is packaging. How do you communicate? Because sometimes some of the innovations, when you sit the first time, it is, yes, it is good for exhibition, for showcasing, but how can you convince me that it can solve a particular challenge? So sometimes it is, how can I, as a policy maker or a decision maker, see from your angle? Yeah, packaging is usually a challenge. But otherwise, the procurement, we have a very good procurement manual, procurement policy, which support the innovators, the startups, because they have a threshold that, a company, an entity should purchase up to this amount from the local, innovators. But the challenge is, how do we interpret it? So the policies are there, the conducive environment is there. The challenge is the awareness. That's why every time, everywhere, every day, you have to do the awareness. And then now I would say, even the private sector, they have seen it. Because another challenge was kind of, not the conducive environment, the trust. How can I trust this product? That if I buy it, tomorrow there will be value for money. So the awareness, the packaging goes back also to the innovators. Sometimes you have a one-man show. Yeah. So if you're coming to me that we are pitching that and we have a good solution, then yes, it might be good. But what if tomorrow you have COVID? Is there someone behind you as a company to promise the continuity? But as I said, since 2011 until today, the journey, we are still moving, but the environment, yes, we are still tweaking it to make it better, but I would say you have a conducive environment. The last one, when we say the conducive environment, is both ways. The private sector, as we said, now the banks are coming on board, but now come back to the individual private sector, the individual who can fund, support, invest into the innovators. They are usually to open up a shop, open up a garage, physical business. And now you want me to invest in an idea. So it is kind of to change the mindset. Okay. Yeah, so it is a process, but I've seen it coming up. And with time, it's happening.
Right, so we want it to come, and probably a bit faster. So now, for all of us here that want to start our own businesses, Dr. Amos says that the environment is enabled. The policies are there, and then they are also doing all that they can to do other things to support. But now it's about how you interpret those policies, how you become aware of them, and we are happy that you are here. At least now that you are in this environment, the experts are sharing and we're getting to know them. But we'll come back to how we can take advantage of those opportunities. Now, Jose, you are managing a whole region, right? You have a regional activity and you have worked at other areas, right? And somebody stepped on my foot. A question that she says I should ask at the end, that you are so young for your position, and so you need to give everybody the trick that got you here. So that one for later. But now, how do you assess the policy environment here in Tanzania? Probably somebody will say that for Dr. Amos, he's just being political. But you as an EU rep, and having considered other environments, how do you assess the policy environment here?
Yeah, thank you. I think, firstly, I want to commend the government and the work that they've done, let's say, in the past 2-3 years. I think, to be fair, and what's something that they had not done before, but now what they're doing is involving everybody. They're consulting people. They're listening. And I think that's super, super important. And anytime, for example, there's a new guideline, for example, we had crowdfunding guidelines, or we had a regulatory sandbox that was hosted by BOT. They invited development partners, they invited the private sector to come in and comment on a draft policy before it actually comes into work. And they also admit as well, and I think this is something that some governments don't do, they admit that this is still a work in progress. They understand that this is not the final step, this is not the final policy that will come. There's always sharpening that will come in a few years' time once we see how the market reacts. And I think we're at a young stage, Tanzania, in terms of digital innovation. Even EU as well, here in the delegations, we're new to digitization and innovation, but we're learning. And I think that's the most important part, that we constantly evolve, we constantly see how we can do better for the private sector, how we can do better for the innovators, and how we as policymakers and development partners can work and fill any gaps that are there.
Right. Thank you for sharing that. Now, Dr. Amos, you mentioned that there are gaps. And I think that Jose even mentioned that there's a problem with soft skills, which you interpreted to be, well, somebody can even come to showcase a very good product, but how does the person package it? How do you take it to market? So that gap, what are you doing as an institution to help correct that?
First of all, I mean, we started the Boon Hub and our incubator, the Technohama incubator, not because, I mean, we wanted to, but it was kind of, let us show it that it can be done. Mm-hmm. Sometimes when you preach, yeah, people have to see that that this way. So, I mean, first of all, we have these internal instruments or tools where we use them to support, but otherwise, for example, Boon Hub, it is we call it hub of hubs. So it is supporting other emerging hubs, capacitating them, skilling them in order to be able to multiply, to have over the country we have support for the innovators. And they work together with other entities, other partners to provide this kind of training. And by the way, that is not our core mandate, to train. So we as much partner with others, for example, like EU here, and make sure the training is available. Even when I said you have that national competition, which every year we have about 70 innovators coming to COSTECH. The capacity building is not done by COSTECH themselves. We invite experts from somewhere else to come and train them. What others are doing. Yeah, so as I said, packaging, but soft skills. So we work together with the universities, and now the government, for example, they have a new program funded by World Bank. We'll call it HEAT, Higher Education Economic Transformation, where that part of innovation is part in the parcel. Where if we
Thank you so much. A lot is happening in this ecosystem, and as young ones, these are things we need to know and be able to take advantage of. So, well, if you want to go to Slash, work hard and package yourself well.
of investment. I don't know the full name, I'm sorry. Good thing my bosses are not around.
You can Google.
But Indiki is there, and it started from 2021 to 2027. And that's where Funguo got their funding, and that's where also D4T, Tide, and UNCBF's work, and Pesatec got their funding. But we've only committed 50% of that funding as of now. And the reason why is we wanted to see in these first 3-4 years, and even when Funguo ends, where are the gaps in the next year that we can then tackle at the end of 2027. So hopefully, for example, AfriConEU, we'll have an AfriConEU 2.0, we'll have a Funguo 2.0.
Oh, clap for that.
We'll have other...
It's a prophecy that will come through.
So yes, so there's a lot of work to still be done with the EU.
Thank you so much. And particularly we like the vision on the AfriConEU 2.0, which will come here and celebrate your prophecy. Now, Dr. Amos, I think the framework we're working within here for this discussion is about the startups being able to connect with partners and then investors on platforms. You've spoken already about some of them, like the annual events you organize and then using Boni to bring them in for training. And we understand that that's not your core mandate. And so we applaud you for taking that initiative for enabling the environment. But are there other platforms that either regulators that have that as their core mandates or individual organizations in the system are doing or platform created that these young ones can take advantage of to connect better with the ecosystem, with other partners or investors to advance their startup business?
Yes, there are other platforms. For example, first of all, let me say, for example, we have the Tanzania Startup Association.
Okay.
Where
did you hear that?
Tanzania
Are you part?
Startup Association, where they work with the COSTECH. We have an MOU.
Okay.
And as I said, COSTECH does provide funding, but also that funding is not kind of, to me, usually when I see it, is not the big support we provide. Because, for example, our funding is a ticket size where up to 40 million Tanzania shillings, which is about 15,000 USD, kind of. That is the ticket we provide for innovators. It is competitive. But we find the initial stages. That's why, for example, those who applied for Funguo, some of them, they get the initial funding from COSTECH in order to prove their idea to the stage where now Funguo can see it as a viable, something to fund. Yeah, so, but the funding is one thing, but mainly, as I said, we partner with the Sahara Ventures for the annual event. So for us, we are facilitators. I mean, in the ecosystem, we are kind of the kingpin. We are trying to see everything is happening. We work now with the bank, one of the banks. Our role is kind of, first of all, making sure the bank understands this language. Because the innovators, they want money. But the bank, they see risk. Yeah, so that platform, for example, we are on the body of Funguo as well. Yeah, because we are from the government, we kind of, that conducive environment is our part in the parcel that making sure that the environment is very conducive. And wherever there's a challenge, then we see what is it and how can we advise the government to lessen that challenge. Because some of the challenge could be a policy which you cannot change it in a day, but because we are the government, sometimes we can, through our Boni and the incubator, we can take some of the ideas, then they come from COSTECH. Because if we want to test something which is controversial, but if COSTECH is testing it, then it is kind of protected. Yeah, once it is tested and is working, then Yeah, for example, now work with the Tanzania Regulatory Communication Authority. For example, for most of the fintech, they need a shortcode to test their products. But shortcode is expensive. I think it is 2,000 USD to have a shortcode. So if you are an innovator, you are still testing an idea, but you have to purchase the shortcode, you have to own it before you start testing the idea, and it might not work. So because we are facilitators, so if you come to COSTECH, we give you a letter to the regulatory authority, then they give you 3 months
Free. Okay.
for testing. If you test the idea, after 3 months, it's not conclusive, you come back, we evaluate, we recommend you again, you get another 3 months.
Okay.
Yes, so in total 6 months for testing. Yeah.
Which is a good number of months to at least test and validate something.
Yes. So the initial innovators, they suffered a lot because you have to pay and then the idea might not work. But now we find ways to kind of have kind of such environment. So COSTECH is kind of working with all the players on all the areas to support the ecosystem, making sure that the environment is conducive.
Right. Thank you so much for sharing. Jose, I think you are smiling. You have something more to add. Yes. Okay, please do.
No, I just wanted to say that really COSTECH is everywhere when it comes to innovation. As you said, they're in the Funguo board, they're in the CRDB, in Beju program. So they're working with development partners, they're working with banks, and I think it's fantastic what they're doing. And I was smiling because I'm happy with the work that they're doing. But I just wanted to say that, a lot of these private players, the likes of banks, NMB, CRDB, they need COSTECH, really, because a lot of them, they understand that there's momentum in the innovation space, but they don't understand the space the way COSTECH does. So COSTECH comes in with their experience, a number of experience, and they come there, they guide them, they screen some of the innovators ahead of time, and then it makes that easier for then the banks to make a decision, and so there's no risk for them because they have the trust of COSTECH there, they have the trust of partners like UNDP or UNCDF in our programs to help them through these sandboxes, to help them through these innovation fundings that they want to do.
Right, thank you very much. And we appreciate the work that you are doing here in Tanzania, and we'll say thank you for the support. I have a quick question for you. As EU, Tanzania, and what are you doing to also bring the other international partners on board so that it is not only about EU trying to do something, but like kind of harnessing all the activities of international partners here to also foster the innovations that are taking place here?
Yeah, I think for us, we rely on our member states as the EU delegation, not only public but also private. So, for example, we recently had our EU-Tanzania Business Forum, where we invited, of course, all our member states. There were high-level delegations there, but there were also private sector from those member states. So from there, we also, for example, had FMO, which is the Dutch Development Bank, and they came and they had an info session, and they asked actually some of the fintechs from Pesatech and even Funguo to pitch to them. So these are small examples that we're doing. We're inviting not only development financial institutions, but also private sector as well. When it comes to our other programs, depending on the sector, of course, we leverage also, again, our private sector. So when it comes to agriculture, or when it comes to standards, for example, for export, because I also have a trade hat, and so, for example, we bring our standardization technical bodies to help SMEs to be able to export to Europe and to the region, for example. So we try to give a mix, let's say, But of course, our main and first priority is to work with the partners in country, because that is our priority, of course. And when we see gaps, or when we see that our member states or international organizations can come in and support, of course, we leverage those relationships that we have.
Right, thank you so much. Anybody with a question right now? Joseph, is your hand up? Okay.
Thank you both for being here. It's really great to kind of get the expert opinion about what's happening here on the ground as we kick off our activities. This is mostly for Dr. Nungu, but I'm sure Jose has some thoughts as well. You talked several times about the importance of soft skills, and one of the examples was going to Slush and learning from the way that the Finns are doing the pitching and networking and so on. How much of that is cultural, though? How much does there need to be kind of a Tanzanian version of those soft skills versus how much can you transfer from the European side? How much do you need to adapt that to address the way that people talk about business in the community here versus talking about business in a European context? Thank you.
Loaded question. Okay, maybe we'll start with Dr. Amos.
Yes, I think Sahara Sparks, we have already kind of a select version of the ROCO, the African version. So we have the Sahara Sparks, which also once a year we have it. And also we sponsor some of the innovators to Sahara Sparks. So if you say how much, yeah, sometimes you have to learn from those who are already ahead of you. And it just was a coincidence that we knew there is a Slash. But recently also there is another event in South Africa. So I think for that 3 years also we sponsored some of the innovators to South Africa. Yeah, so as much as we sponsor them out, but we are trying also to make the ROCO one. But as I said, we are the facilitators. So we are not, I'm not encouraging for COSTECH to host such an event, but we support. That's why for the time being, we support Sahara Sparks as one of the ROCO events. And if there is another version coming up, COSTECH will support it. Because for COSTECH is trying to open doors to every opportunity for the innovators to be able to take that opportunity. And that's why I said even in the higher education project, COSTECH is a part of it, because also we see that, before, when we had only this hub in 2013, it was only useful for the students from the nearby universities. For the students up country, they couldn't afford to come to the hub, because the hub is a meeting place where one of the support they get is the training of the soft skills and other areas. So when we saw the need, then we changed the Boon Hub to support the universities to create their own ROCO innovation hubs. And in the beginning, we had another program which was funded by the UK, and they tried to go to the universities to initiate those hubs, and it was difficult. But because of the government, then it was easier to partner. Yeah, so for us, we kind of open doors wherever we see there's an opportunity to support the innovators.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Jose, do you have something more to add to that?
Yeah, maybe in terms of how we can transfer skills between each other, I have let's say a personal opinion that I don't necessarily think soft skills need to come from outside and don't need to be trained from outside. I think they can even start from home, you know. I always give this example where if you have an idea, if you have a pitch deck, start at home. Start looking at the mirror. Start looking and going to your mom, your dad, your sister, and let them be your first judges. Let them judge you and tell you, no, this could have been better, no, this was great, you know? And I think that's where it needs to start from. And it's something so simple. Slush is great. I'm sure there's many things that you can learn from Slush, many things you can learn from AfriConEU, for example, but I don't think that is where you need to start. I think you can start even at home. So I think the solution is a lot more simple than sometimes people think.
Yeah, one speaker once said that if you have an idea and you explain it to your grandmother and she understands it, it means it will work. So yes, people, we need to at all costs have or build these soft skills, strong soft skills around our innovation, so that at least it does not only become something that we create to decorate our homes or offices, but something that can easily make its way to the market. But last round of questions for two of you, because we ran out, because they have started showing me the time. But let's do this. We know that creating these platforms for connecting innovators to partners or investors, it is not only the responsibilities of international partners and regulators, but our young innovators also have a part to play. So how can they be proactive enough to take advantage of the enabled environment to connect to these relevant stakeholders? You can start.
Can I
Yes.
start? There's one really, really nice newsletter that I think just started maybe 6 months ago, 1 year ago. It's on LinkedIn. It's called Atom and Bits.
Yeah.
And Atom and Bits, really every week they put out a spotlight on new startups. They talk about what's happening every week in the innovation space. And they also mention new upcoming events that this ecosystem can then take advantage of. If you're not on LinkedIn, I highly, highly recommend you go on there, and I highly, highly recommend you subscribe to Atom and Bits. It's an author named Isaiah. He's fantastic. It's short, it's sweet, but it's impactful. And I think every single time I get those notifications on LinkedIn about what's happening in the space and what's upcoming, I even see sometimes EU-funded programs there already without even being asked to be publicized that way. But so if you would like to come, please, Karibu. Please reach out to the UNCDF team. I will make sure that they have all the contacts here from the AfriConEU team. So we always have different events to try mobilize the private sector. It doesn't have to be grand events, but even sometimes small ones like happy hours and stuff where we can really just talk one-on-one on our personal level.
Great. Thank you for sharing. I'm happy that I saw a lot of you picking up your phones, probably either signing up to LinkedIn or checking to follow Isaiah on LinkedIn. That's good. Now, Doc, any last words for them concerning connectivity?
Yes, as you said, it shouldn't come only from this side, because now, as he said, social media is not only social media, the internet has opened up, so there are opportunities which might not come through the government. But the youngsters, they can spot the opportunity. Some of them, they are open, so they can go straight. Some of them, they require endorsement from the government. As I said, my role is always to open doors. So if they come that, I see the opportunity, but they need an endorsement from COSTECH, then we are always happy to support. Because their success is my success. Yeah, so I always welcome them.
Right. Thank you so much, Dr. Amos and Jose, for sharing these insightful words with us. And thank you also for paying attention. I'm glad that we've had this conversation. So, yes, from all the discussions, we've seen that the ecosystem here in Tanzania is enabled for enabled for innovation. So whatever ideas you have to solve any problems that you've identified, reach out. There are opportunities here at Buni Hub. There are opportunities here also at Sahara Ventures. The international partners are also doing their bit. There's Fungu and all the others. Reach out and get the support. It's not like the olden days where when you have an idea, you have to protect it as though if anybody gets to know about it, it's going to vanish. So let's do that, and then we are all going to make a better life for ourselves. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Please wait. We have a few announcements. That was an amazing, amazing chat. Thank you so much, Gideon. And thank you, Dr. Amos, and thank you, Jose, for being here. Okay, as you can see, it says your network is your net worth. All right. Okay, now, we're going to have 3 exciting things happening right now. One, we're gonna go outside and take a group photo. She called it a family photo. Family, we're now family. So we're gonna go outside, take a family photo. But, before we go outside, I would like to make you aware of a few things that are going to be happening when we come back here. When we go out for breakfast, we're gonna go first, take a photo. Second, we're gonna go for breakfast, where we're gonna network a little bit to get to know each other. And when we come back here, we're going to get to know each other very well. So you're going to be introducing yourselves for us to understand you, where are you coming from, what are your goals, etc., and what you expect from this whole event. Now, the usual gist is you stand up and say, hi, my name is Dimbumi Msongole, I come from Youth Opportunity Trust, etc., etc. But today, we want you to do it a little bit different. You have a person sitting next to you. Pick a tea buddy. This person you're going to sit with at breakfast for at least 3 minutes. Yes, you can network with other people, but for 3 minutes, sit with this person. Understand who they are and what they do, why they're here. And when we come back here, instead of you introducing yourself, you are going to be introducing your tea buddy. Yes. I like the energy. Cool. We all love this. We all love it. Okay. So those are the jits. 1, family photo. 2, we're going for breakfast, and you best understand your tea buddy. 3, we come back here, 30 minutes, where you get to introduce your tea buddy to us. So let's go outside for our family photo. And as we go out, if you have